You really do. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. You really do. When you do dumb shit and start to lose, you hate to see it. You really do. When you drink too much, get lost in booze, you hate to see it. You really do.
All right, welcome back, Tokies. Another week in the books, and another good episode of Toke Pod podcast coming up for you. We're going to start this off a little differently, and we're going to give some shout outs to this week. I'm here with my co-host Nick and Kirby, as always. My apologies for not being here last week. I know that there were some demands for me to come back, give it that little spice, so I'm back. So we're gonna just start it off by giving a little acknowledgement to some week winners last week in week 6. So from our Sun Beers, we have myself, Team Stev 6-0, Amy's team, Sween's team, and Miss Dixie, Miss Dixie was the highest scorer of the week. So congratulations to all the winners in that league. Going over to the Tokers Lounge League, we have winners from last week. I know that I lost. So Tom Giancola with a win, Will with a win, Team Flash with a win, Jesse with the highest points scored, Nick with a nice win, very much needed, and Team Hospice with a win. So yeah, congratulations guys on those wins and girls. Moving on to week 7 though. I think it's going to be a pretty good week we have going here. I know, a lot of talk going around in the Sun Beers League. Game of the week, house versus house, 1 versus 2, Stevens versus Stevens. I can tell you right now, Liv is basically saying if she doesn't go undefeated the entire year, she's quitting. So she has very high stakes in it. I don't really have that same sentiment, but we'll see how things go. So good luck. Stay tuned next week because there's going to be some spicy consequences for the loser of our game. You will want to stay tuned for that. All right, so going into some of the studs of this week, I'll take it right off by just saying Joe Burrow. Welcome back, finally, a Joe Burrow game where we saw him do the things that we were hoping he was going to do all year. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, a couple carries, a couple yards on the carries. It's nice to see him doing things that the guy that just went to the Super Bowl and almost won it against the Rams should be doing. So, congratulations, Joe Burrow. I know that Jamar Chase benefited from that. Hopefully, T. Higgins can stay safe and healthy and come back from that. Any studs that you guys noticed throughout this week that maybe some notable ones? Kirby, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, bring it to the hometown team, the Patriots here. Ramondre Stevenson, he had 76 yards, 2 touchdowns, a couple of receptions. He was a beast out there and made it. And he did his best with Harris being out, and it stinks here because I was unfortunately on the receiving end of Ramondre just being a filler for Team J Moore. He had Joey Burrow, he had Jamar Chase, he had Ramondre Stevenson, and I just got hit from all angles, and he was the highest scorer of the week. But yeah, he's looking pretty good. We don't really know what Damian Harris's health status is looking like. I'm sure he'll be back at some point to kind of muddy up the waters, but with his time in the number 1 role, he delivered.
Yeah, we also have Brandon Ayuk. He's a guy I have on a couple teams. Didn't start him on anything, unfortunately, but he looked great. I've kind of always thought he could kind of be like that Debo Samuel type guy, where just get the ball in his hands, quick wide receiver screens over the top. He's quick, and even in the run game. And it was good to see him get the ball. He's now getting some quarterback change, so we'll see what happens with that. But Jahan Dotson's out this week, or looking like he's going to be out this week. So, 2 touchdowns, 83 yards. There's 11 targets, which is the big stat I like to see. So he looked great out there.
Yeah, I have Ayuk in 2 leagues. Played him in one, won that one. Didn't play him in the other one, and unfortunately, I think I would have won if I had played him in that league. So, I guess I have to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a desperate situation in pretty much all leagues where my receivers that I thought were high on now are turning out to be duds. But so I had to play Ayuk and Debo Samuel in the same league, which hopefully that pans out to be okay.
You never wanted. I hate those games where you have to play the same guy, 2 guys on the same team.
Yeah, but another stud, a little bit of a sleeper here, Deion Jackson. No one really knew who he was, kind of with Jonathan Taylor hurt, Nyheim Hines with a concussion. He was in the number 1 role, and he put up 23 points, 42 yards rushing, a touchdown, 10 out of 10 receiving for 79 yards. And it's kind of the theme of Dixie's season. He picked up Naeem Hines, got a concussion the first drive after 3 plays, and then Brandon just randomly picks him up, plays him, and wins his week with a no-name guy just putting up 23 points. So that was quite the performance. I don't think it's going to be a season-long performance because Jonathan Taylor's probably coming back, but it is just unfortunate for the old Slim Stone and it just really seems like he's just not getting some things right this year.
Yep. Too bad Theon Greyjoy got him down. Another guy that went off, who begs the question that Dixie's wondering, was it worth the money? Kenneth Walker went off, 21 carries, 97 yards, a touchdown, a couple of receptions. I know Nick was the benefactor of him in, I think it's in the Sunbeers League. Actually, I know he's in the
Yep.
Sunbeers League because your buddy was trying to toss him around, kind of toss the bag around a couple times today. I don't know if anyone else was a recipient of him, but he's definitely trying to ride that train high, and I don't discredit it for him. I mean, he offered me a trade from the day, and it was definitely tempting because this guy could go off. I definitely think he's worth the money. The only reason I didn't accept it was because I have 2 really good running backs. If you're looking for a running back, might want to be looking out there because Kenneth Walker, I think he could be the real deal. Sucks because I had Rashad Penny, and Rashad Penny never had a 21 carry, 97 yard. Well, I guess he did, but
Yeah, last week, the
Yeah.
week before he went out,
Yeah.
he looked good.
yeah,
But
unfortunately.
it just Seattle likes to run the ball, and just getting him. I almost had him in all three of my leagues. I was second in Fab in 2 leagues, pretty close behind the 2 guys who end up winning out, Jesse and another league I'm in. But I did get him in Sunbeers, and he looked good. I think he's a more dynamic runner. Obviously they took him. I think it was in the 2nd round. So Seattle's obviously high on him, and he just looks dynamic out there. So with them liking to run the ball, look good seeing running back in today's NFL getting 21 carries, and he seemed to be moving the sticks well. So I think he's gonna be someone who's gonna keep looking good, and Seattle's obviously looked great. So again, he's a guy that I'm sitting here this week, which is kind of why I was looking to move him or another one of my running backs. I threw some other trades out there as well for some of my other running backs, but I have Saquon, I got Kenneth Walker, I got Derrick Henry, and I have Nick Chubb. So I can't play them all, and I'd love to.
Yep, classic. I definitely don't blame you for trying to get rid of him. Moving on to some of the duds this week. We got, Herbert, Sutton, Lockett, Chubb. A guy that really killed me from this list I'll talk about is Sutton. I really needed him to go off against Tom, and he did me super dirty with 2 receptions for 14 yards. It's pretty safe to say that, the Broncos are trash. Trash. I think it's confirmed that Russell Wilson is blind as can be, can't see open guys, doesn't know what he's doing out there. He probably should be taken off for some sort of CTE, early onset CTE, but the guy's just not doing it right now, which is a really big disappointment. I think it'll go down as the pod's big miss of the year, shy of 2 of us saying that Allen Robinson was going to be a freak. The Broncos just, you can't trust anyone on the team. I don't think it's like, am I gonna sit him? I don't know if I have anyone else to play over him, but I guess I'll be sitting him. I mean, it sucks. See, if I had played Brandon Ayuk over Kevin Sutton, I would have beaten Tom by a mile. But unfortunately, I didn't, and he's down there. So yeah. Anyone else that you guys were upset about from this list? I know Nick had Chubb, so I'm sure he wasn't very happy about that.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of that catch-22 when you play Chubb. I always try to shy away from people. Just you kind of let your heart get in your way. With the Browns played New England, so it was bittersweet. I was happy to see them bottle him up, and they had to go to the passing game, which is not what Cleveland wants to do. To try to keep pace with New England. They look great, and they were shutting everything down. So that was nice from a fan's perspective, but definitely sucked for my fantasy hopes. And I had Derrick Henry on a bye, so I honestly probably would have sat Nick Chubb or Saquon. It would have been kind of a 50-50 on that. So, but Derrick Henry's out, so I had to give Chubb the start. And yeah, he didn't look great, but I just They just didn't get him the ball enough. So I don't even know if it was so much on Nick Chubb as it was on Cleveland and their decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be worried about Chubb at all, but it's his first game under 10 points all year, so it's dud worthy, and especially for you, Kamish, when you're having the struggle in Sunbeers with Derrick Henry on a bye. If you play Nick Chubb, you kind of need him to be his normal self with your current status in that league. So it's unfortunate for you.
Yeah, first time under 15 carries too. Actually, first time 17 was his lowest going into this. He only had 12 touches, so that's tough. But especially when they like to get Hunt in the passing game a little bit more than Chubb, so when they get down, it's just tough. But
Yeah, and
I
it's
expect
another
to bounce back.
yeah, 100%. I mean, another dud, and I'll take this one because it kind of burned me. Justin Herbert, another Thursday night trash game. No touchdowns, one interception, under 250 yards passing. He wasn't his normal self. They were struggling offensively, a lot of punts, a lot of hardly first downs. And I mostly got burned because in my third league I was playing my sister. I was up by 7 points. I had Mike Williams. She had Brandon McManus, the kicker for Denver. And I sadly lost that game by 3 points. Mike Williams had his classic Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, one of the two games where he put up an absolute dud performance. And Brandon McManus started the game with a 50-yard field goal. So that was a tough one for me to lose.
Yeah, I lost because of Herbert too. It's never fun. The guy throws the ball 57 times and he's only getting you 9 points. It's like,
Yeah.
heartbreak. That'll segue me into the next thing, though, which is some of the close matchups that we had this week. Myself and Tom, two of the guys that kept it close for me were mentioned in the duds, Herbert and Sutton. I needed some big points from some guys. I lost by, I don't know, 8 points or something like that. And I really needed that win. My season's not going very well. This is my worst league by far. I'm 5-1 in my other two leagues, and I'm 2-4, barely above the lowest guy in this league. So, not going the way I want it to go. It's the classic thing, though, where I get to say at the end of the day, I do have one of the highest points against. So, any way that I can try to save myself, I will, and that's how I'm going to do it. I have some guys on the bench that I can play, but I don't know. It's almost like I don't even care about this league, and I hate to say it, but it's a stinker. Another close game we had, Slim and Sween. I forget who won that one. I'm guessing it was Sween. I think it was Sween who won that one.
It
But
was.
I know it was a close one. We'll get to it a little bit later, but Cam Akers didn't do it for Slim. Obviously, he didn't play him and has now dropped him, but a close one between those two guys. Slim still at the bottom, 1-5. The only reason that I can, say there is a chance because I've never gotten last place in the league, and this is the closest I've ever been to getting it. So I'm definitely super nervous on that end of things. So good job, Sween. It's kind of that thing right now where you play Slim and you're just hoping that you're not the guy that gives him another win, kind of like playing Nick in their other league. Who is still winless, I believe, right?
Yeah, 0-6.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
I actually had a pretty close matchup with Colby. It didn't end up on paper, but she ended up beating me at 22. But it was close. A couple late touchdowns and a couple late performance by some of her Dallas players, and then yeah, is what it is.
Yeah.
The most points against, the only person in the 800 points against.
Yeah, it's tough because you're like, we were talking about this. You're like middle of the road. 5 or 6 out of 10 for points for, but you're well ahead of the next. You're like 50 points ahead of points against, so that just is impacting you pretty poorly. And you look at Slim, who has like 600 points for, I think it's like 100 and something, 120 less than you, but 2 wins out of that. Sometimes the matchup just isn't in your favor, and unfortunately, that's leading to you being 0-6.
Yep.
We'll give a shout out. Still riding that wave. One of the only people, I think. Do we have a undefeated person in our league still?
No.
Yeah, so of the 2 leagues, one person sits atop the throne. My wife, Olivia, undefeated. And Hopkins is coming back this week, so stay tuned tonight to see if her team is just going to be pumped even greater with Hopkins coming back. Kind of
Yeah,
scary.
it's
I told her at the beginning of the year, you need to hopefully win at least 3 games of the first 6, and then you'll have a chance of doing well when Hopkins comes back. Well, she went and won all 6.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate. I feel like last week she put up on her standards a bit of a dud week. I think it's one of her lowest scoring. She usually puts up like 140 plus, and she put up 119, and I faced her. So the first half of the 1 o'clocks, I was like, okay, there's a chance here, and then she started to rain hell on me. Just like it was a tough week for me because I played number 1 Jesse in Toker's Lounge, number 1 Liv in Sun Beers,
Oof.
and both of them started slow, and I was in it, and then all of a sudden, all of them, it was just like the Blitzkrieg. It felt like London in World War II. I was just getting rained on, and so yeah, I had to just turn the games off and just let it ride, and just get in my bunker and wait till next week.
Yeah,
But congrats to Liv for another undefeated week.
Yep. Time to just fire up Overwatch and just sit back and heal.
Yeah, oh yeah. Just put on music, cry a little bit, and on to Cincinnati, as Billy B would say.
All right, we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor this week, and then we're going to get back into our segments. So we'll catch you guys in a minute. Tokies, have you ever had an important event to attend or a social gathering you're trying to catch an eye at? Do you sometimes feel like people look past you, as if you don't even exist? Does the overwhelming feeling of non-existing public awareness bear down on you like a 10-ton weight? Well, we have the service for you. The LMAD Entourage service will send to you your own personal team of attention getters. Fret no more in social gatherings or crowds. The LMAD Entourage rental service will guarantee that you will be noticed. They have your answer, and in an in-depth survey about yourself, they will personally tailor a team of iHogs to cater to your every social need. For extremely special events, they will send to you an award-winning pageant dime piece to accompany you around all night. Let me tell you guys about the LMAD service. I've had it myself. We have a local fair here in New Hampshire. It's pretty much the only thing we have going for us here. At the who's who of New Hampshire are all here. People come from all over to see this thing. And 2 years running now, I've used the LMAD service, the high package, the VIP platinum package, and they send out the pageant girl, and let me tell you, it's basically like Moses parting the Red Sea. You're walking through crowds, people are moving out of your way, pointing at you. You can hear whispers of there they go, that's Amy, that's Elmad, and you feel good. You're never worried about being that guy sitting behind the greasy hot dog stand alone eating against a tree. Everyone's noticing you. You feel great about yourself. So if you're feeling down about yourself, you really want to hit up LMAT Entourage Rental Service. Get them on your side and get noticed. Don't ever sit around lonely again at a social gathering, because this service does provide for you. So hit them up if you need them. All right, welcome back, guys. That was a spicy segment, I will say. Spicy little sponsorship. Really happy to have them on board. Moving into our segments, though, the Flash or Fizzle, fan favorite. We're going to go to 3 guys right now that had pretty good weeks this week. And you know the game. We're going to say Flash or Fizzle. I'll let one of you guys start off with the first guy. So you want to take Kenyon Drake, one of you two?
Yeah, I mean, Kenyon Drake had a great game. J.K. Dobbins had a little, his ACL repaired knee was aggravated, so he got sat, and Kenyon Drake took the lead. I mean, he had almost 120 yards with 119 touchdown. He looked pretty good, and I believe he got traded, or they picked him up on the Ravens this year. I don't remember exactly how they got him, but he filled in nicely, and it looks like J.K. Dobbins might be out another week. So I'm going to go Team Flash for the short term. I think he has a good chance to kind of pop off again. It looks like they are playing Cleveland this week, and I believe Cleveland has one of the worst run defenses in the league. So I'm Team Flash.
Yeah, I'll stay with Team Flash on that too. Kenyon Drake's he's been a guy that we've talked about before. Not this year, but in years past. He's done well. He can produce. J.K. Dobbins, he's injury prone. So if he doesn't play or is missing any time, I think Kenyon Drake's a decent fill-in for that, especially being on a high-powered offense like the Ravens. You know, they get in the red zone a lot. 10 carries for 119 yards. You know, when you're getting almost 12 yards a carry, that's pretty good stuff. I didn't see the game personally, so I'm not sure if any of those were just like a massive run, but those numbers, at least on paper, tell me that he could be a guy that you might have picked up off the waivers or whatnot, and you know you might want to ride him for a little bit until he falls off. Moving on, Chase Claypool, Jesus, 7 for 7, 96 yards and a touchdown. I just
Got another
Smith-Schustered
juju
him.
on our
Yeah,
hands.
just Schuster Smith him. Clay Chase Pool. Anyways, pretty good game for him. It was productive. I know that they've had some quarterback issues over there. I think Pickens, I don't know if he's playing this week, but I was pretty happy with Pickens in there because, no, it's Pickett, right? Pickens is the
Pickett.
receiver.
Kenny
Kenny
Pickett.
Pickett.
Yeah, Pickett. Sorry, it's kind of annoying when one of them's Pickens and one of them's Pickett. So I guess we're not sure about him yet. I haven't seen anything about it, but he had a good game with Claypool. We've seen Claypool pop off in the past. Will it continue? I'm not sure. I think for this guy, I'm going to go Fizzle. I don't know if I can trust the receiving core for them. He had a good week this week. Is it going to continue? I don't know. I mean, you look at his numbers. This is the only week he scored over 10. And I mean, the targets have been there, so maybe it's an early selly or an early call off and dismissal. But I'm going Fizzle on this one. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm Team Fizzle on this too. I think he's going to be a guy that he's going to have a couple weeks here and there, but I think he's going to be really touchdown dependent. I think they really want to get the ball into Deontay Johnson's hands and George Pickens' hands. I think those are their more dynamic athletes. Claypool's the big body guy, and I think that they do like him. And Fryermuth in the end zone, just bigger bodies to throw at, corner routes and stuff like that. So I think he's gonna be touchdown dependent. Like you said, the quarterback, it's just the carousel. I think his touchdown came from Mitch Trubisky, but it just don't trust either of those guys. There's a reason they sat Mitch. Kenny Pickett. There's a reason why they didn't go with Kenny Pickett at the start of the season. So it's just kind of they're trying to figure it out. I can't believe they won that game. Like I really can't believe
Doesn't even make sense.
The Steelers, I have no faith in the Steelers and any of their players. I have Najee in the league, and I hate it.
I agree.
He's sit worthy.
Yeah, Fizzle for me as well for all those reasons.
Nick, you want to take over Tanyan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Flash or Tanyan. I feel like the Packers are frustrated. I think Aaron Rodgers is frustrated, and if you look down the list of their receivers, Tanyan is kind of a guy who's been there for a bit. 12 targets, 90 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but I think those touchdowns will come. I think he's always kind of been a favorite target, and I didn't see the latest on Randall Cobb, but I believe he's done.
Yeah, I think
it
he's
didn't
out.
He's
didn't
out
look good.
2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, so that's another guy, like one of his favorite go-to guys that's down. So I think with the frustration and Aaron Rodgers, I think they're gonna try to focus the run like they've been, but I think Tanyan's gonna kind of be Aaron Rodgers' favorite target moving forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
going-
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. If you agree, I'm just going to be the opposite. I'm going Flash. Or sorry, Fizzle. I'm not taking the bait. He had a good year in 2020 with 11 touchdowns, and this year he's just had one. I don't think this one game is going to be an indication of him moving forward. I think he's going to go back to his normal self. I think the Packers stink. They can't figure out their offense. Their run game's trash. So I know you would think on paper they have to rely on him, but I'm Team Fizzle.
Yeah, I'm going Flash for that. Just I don't want to beat the dead horse, but I do have a couple things to say. He did have a big injury. I think he tore his ACL last season at the end of the season.
He did.
So in the beginning of the season, I was kind of, hoping, all right, they're easing him back in. I don't know if Rodgers trusts him yet, but for the last 2 weeks, he's had pretty decent production, and we've talked about it all season long. You got to keep it in perspective of the guy's a tight end. You're getting a tight end right now who just got 12 targets. there's no good tight ends out there unless you have Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. So when it comes to tight ends, I don't see how this guy could not be a flash. I mean, who else are you playing over him? Waller's hurt. Kyle Pitts just scored his first touchdown finally and only got 9 points in the game. There's not many tight ends out there. I think if you have Tanyan, and I do have him, I think in 2 leagues, so that's maybe a little biased, but I think that he is a flash in terms of tight ends for how the season's going, because there's just really not any tight ends that you're comfortable with anymore besides 2. So I'm definitely going flash on him.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. This season of date, he went. This is snap percentage. He went 36, 40, 58, 44, 44, and then 63 last game. So started off a little bit slower, like mid to low 30s and 40s, and now it's pretty much been higher 40s and this last game 63%. So moving in the right direction, it feels like. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with the flash.
All right, moving on to segment 2. Were you drunk? This week's segment is dedicated to the one and only Slim. He chose to jump on his surfboard, ride the wave hard with Cam Akers. I believe he had him in 2 leagues. Didn't he draft him twice? I think in both of these leagues, honestly. I know he definitely has him in 1, if I'm mistaken. But news came in while I was about to go hang out with Dixie on Saturday, and I look at my phone and I see Rams are trying to trade away Cam Akers, and they say if they can't trade him away because everyone thinks he sucks, they're not even going to play him anyways. So basically, it's this guy's dead in the water. Hey, we're going to try and trade you, but if we can't, you're not playing. So your season's pretty much over. It was a bigger slap in the face that's never presented itself in Dixie in the form of fantasy, and that was it right there. So was he drunk when he drafted him? Absolutely. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming, but Dixie's going to chalk it up to that's my luck. This is how fantasy goes for me, wine to win. But the wine to win's not working this year, and he was drunk when he picked up Cam Akers because the guy's not going to get a point for the rest of the year.
Well,
If he does,
sorry, go ahead. It's also adding insult to injury. He had every opportunity. He had a full bank of fab, and he chose not to go after someone like Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Or pursued him, but very, very lightly. So, it's just a little insult to injury too. He loses. I think in 1 league was his 3rd round pick.
What were you gonna say, Kirby?
I mean, I do think he has some talent. I don't know what's happening. Or maybe he's just not the same after his Achilles injury. But I am curious if he does get traded, where he does end up. Like he could potentially flourish somewhere else. It's a long shot, but there is a chance.
It is interesting. I was surprised to see that they're just totally riding him off. Because I mean, he did have a pretty decent game not too long ago, didn't he?
But Henderson has looked great, and then Sony Michel, he hasn't played as much, but he's shown flashes of. I feel like every time I see him on field,
Sony's on the Chargers.
Oh yeah, my bad. We were just talking about that. He looks fast in those unis.
Yeah.
It's a lightning bolt, man.
Kirby's like, everyone looks fast in a lightning bolt. That's not true. I bet you and me wouldn't look that fast in a lightning bolt.
Probably not.
No. That's definitely true.
All right, moving on to another segment of ours. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. We'll start this one off with Matt Ryan. I'm going to let you take this one around, Kirby, because I know you've been dealing with some byproduct of some poor Matt Ryan play. So, Matt Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game. He had 42 completions, 389 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, good for him. Just not good for me overall with my Michael Pittman. Yeah, he had double digits, but he hasn't scored a touchdown, I think, since the first week. So yeah, that aspect hurts, but it's good to see some, the passing game moving in the positive direction since they're always playing from behind. So hopefully they keep it up and can, focus on Pittman because they've been throwing it to Pierce, that rookie. They've been throwing it to Paris Campbell. So it's definitely positive for them overall. And I will say November 6th, my birthday, they are playing the Patriots. So maybe I'll have to wear my Matt Ryan jersey if I go to the game.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Matt Ryan's back. You look at the numbers though, and it is interesting. This is his most attempts all season long. From the first game he had 50, and then it was a bunch of like under 40 attempts, which is just absolutely terrible. Somehow one of the games he put up 356 yards with 37 attempts, but I don't know if they're just leaning on him more now that Jonathan Taylor wasn't in the game, or if it was game script. I wouldn't think he's back. I know we already did Flash or Fizzle, but I don't think he's back. I don't trust him. It's Matt Ryan. I mean, it's crazy that
Yeah, I
he
mean,
goes from like a MVP season that one year a few years ago where he had like 5,000 yards to just an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, he's white bread Ryan. He's just there's nothing special about the guy, and I don't
I
think
think
he's
it could be
back.
hard. I think it can be sometimes hard first year on a new team. There's probably some kinks you got to work out, whatnot. I mean, I'm just kind of sipping on the copium now. But just to go back to the last second, were you drunk? At this point in the season, I think I was drunk in all my analysis of my receivers other than Justin Jefferson. Pittman's been decent. Judy's been terrible. DJ Moore's been god awful. So, yeah, my receiving core is hurting badly.
Well, I'll jump in there because this is a podcast. I think overall we're wrong on all of those, but we are more wrong on the quarterback talent than we were on the
Yeah.
all of those guys on paper are really good running or really good wide receivers that on paper looked like they were getting upgrades at quarterback, and that has not been the case. Matt
Yeah.
Ryan seems like somehow to be outside of this game, of course, a downgrade from Carson Wentz. Baker Mayfield, it's been a tragedy over there. And
Russell Wilson instead of Drew
Russell
Lock.
Wilson,
It's like, what
it's
the
like,
hell?
what is going on?
It's the opposite of the Terrell Pryor incident of 2019. Terrell Pryor had 1,000 yards with a bum quarterback with the Browns. Goes to Kirk Cousins, who's a slinger in Washington, and puts up like I don't know, probably got stabbed in his season. I don't even know what happened. Did nothing. I think they
Well,
benched
his
him.
first game, I think he had 19 or 22 targets or something like that in his
Yeah.
first game.
And then
He's
he
Darren
just gets
Waller last
traded to
year.
another quarterback upgrade, and he just sucks. The quarterback was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have to circle back to you complaining about Michael Pittman getting 16 targets, 13 receptions, 134 yards, and basically 20 points because
I
he
mean,
didn't have a touchdown. It's like, come on.
It's only his second double-digit game, though. I think, and like
that's what I'm saying.
he was like
he's
a
been hurt.
third-round
He's been hurt.
pick.
He's been hurt.
He has been hurt a couple games. Yeah, I'll give you that. Hopefully they turn it
It's-
around
yeah,
for
I'm
the
hoping.
pod's
I
sake.
mean, and my season's sake.
We'll let you take the next one, Nick. And we all know you're the big "Who Shot Ya" fan over here, so we'll let you take Brian Robinson on this one.
Yeah, I mean that intro song with Many Men was electric. Brian Robinson, it's kind of what I was hoping for. I've held on to him. I saved the roster spot all this while. Their offense looks atrocious, which is a little alarming, but still 17 carries. The touchdown was nice. He looks nice. He's a big athletic guy. So it's a nice plug and play to be able to have. I think I'm playing him this week due to some buys, and I think as he gets more up to speed with that NFL, the speed of the NFL, he's going to look better and better. So I'm thinking he's back from the almost dead, back on the field in the NFL, and back in the end zone. So Brian Robinson, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good when a guy's on his second game back after being shot like 7 weeks ago and he gets 17 carries. You're back. Just lean on this guy. They're talking about, I think, putting Gibson as like a returner and stuff. Everything you want to hear about this guy is just screaming like we want this guy to be the guy. So I agree with you. Definitely back. Love the story. Love the intro. No one's ever come out in a more hard way than that. It's just never existed. I mean, 50 Cent himself put it on his page. That's how I saw it. So badass. I'll take over the last one. Juju Schuster-Smith finally has a pretty nice game. Only 5 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. The points were nice, 19 points. I've said it before. I think we're going to have a lot of these games from him where he doesn't do a lot and then he does a lot. It's just the nature of the beast at the Chiefs. So I don't know if I think he's back. I just think this is kind of what I expected from him this season after seeing how the first 3 or 4 games played out. Patrick Mahomes just slings the ball to anyone. He's a magician. He's a wizard. He's whatever you want to call it. He just doesn't have a favorite target minus Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's going to get his, but besides that, he's going to the Exxon Valdez. He's going to Smith Schuster. He's throwing it out of the backfield to Pacheco. Like he just has too many targets, and he's not afraid to hit them. He's a freaking he's a magician. I've already said it, and I don't think you should be expecting games like this repeatedly from Smith Schuster, but I definitely think he's a good wide receiver 3 flex type guy that you can play in there and be pretty confident. I mean, he gets points every game, so it's nothing on that side, but I don't know if he's going to be like coming into this season. I was hoping he was going to take over for Tyreek Hill. I think everybody was kind of like, who's going to be the Tyreek Hill? And this was obviously the front runner. He did pretty good stuff over at Pittsburgh, but even there, it's not like he was ever like always the main guy. He'd have big spurts of games, like a 99-yard touchdown and stuff, but um, he was never. No one's replacing Tyreek Hill. So Juju, great game. 5 receptions for 113 yards. Probably not going to happen that often. I mean, that obviously indicates that he had a massive run on one of them. So, yeah, but good game from the guy.
Yeah, I mean, we also saw Sky Moore get a little bit more involved in that game. He had a couple nice plays. He was also who Mahomes was throwing to when he threw that pick. So that's just another little wrinkle where he was someone who I know. Excuse me. We talked about heading into the season and heading into the draft, but he didn't really get much play time, and now we're starting to see him get a little more involved. So
Yeah,
it's
I mean, he was
just an
nasty
interesting
in
wrinkle in
college.
that. Yeah, and then you have that kind of three-headed monster in Valdez Scantling and Schuster Smith Jr. and the hard man. So
Tyler Pacheco's getting some catches. Moving on, we'll move on from that segment into the 3 gasms this week. We'll start off with the quarterback. Some of the 3 gasm candidates were Bailey Zappi, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson. All of them produced well this week somehow. Very interesting to see one of the names up there, and that's probably who I'm going to be going with. I have a feeling Kirby's going to have a lot more to say on this guy because it seems like every week I'm seeing a new this guy couldn't be worse statistic. But I'm probably going to go with Justin Fields for my fake gasm. It's hard to say because Bailey Zappi they're saying that he's probably I heard a report today. Once Mac Jones is healthy, he's playing. There's no confusion going on with that. But taking that out of the factor, just performance wise, I think Bailey Zappi had a great game, and the guy looks fantastic. I mean, 2 wins. I think I saw a stat today that was he's the only rookie quarterback in the history of the NFL to have 2 wins back to back with an over 100 passer rating. So that's obviously a big stat, a little Azer stat there for you. And Russell Wilson, man, I want him to be the fake gasm so bad. If it was anyone else up there besides Justin Fields, I think I would pick Russell Wilson. But I'm going to lean on Justin Fields. The guy just somehow just doesn't get it done ever. So fake gasm, Justin Fields. I'll let you guys give your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I put Bailey Zappi / Mac Jones. I think they're kind of interchangeable in some ways. One, they look exactly alike, but 2, I think Bailey Zappi's done very well for his position. Mac Jones probably has a little bit more upside, so maybe they kind of change the game script around depending on the quarterback. But as much as Justin Fields in their offense is terrible, I'm going with Russell Wilson as a fake gasm. He is insufferable at this point. I cannot stand him. Not even about his performance, but his comments, his from Let's Ride to his Subway commercial, his sub commercial, to now he has a little bit of a hamstring injury and he's saying that he heals fast because he has like Wolverine blood. It's like, dude, you stink, you're blind, like you can't win a game for your team. You throw so many red zone interceptions. I just don't trust you, and if I can't believe the Broncos paid him. I get his contract originally, but to double down and pay him more until they get their act together between the head coach who's a doofus and Russell who's also a doofus, going to him as a fake gasm.
yeah, I agree with both your points. I think it's pretty obviously between Fields or Russell Wilson. I think Fields is a fake. I think I think that we got two fakes in this one, but I think Fields is very obviously not the guy in Chicago. I'm interested to see, they had the changeover in coach, so what they can do to kind of turn that around and what kind of offense they can kind of mimic in the league. I think they need to start looking at the Ravens as being someone they're kind of going to try to emulate. But it doesn't seem like they're anywhere there, and Justin Fields is definitely not looking like the guy there. And then Russell Wilson, I think he's the real fake because just when you add in his contract, they just dropped a bag on this guy. This guy was supposed to come in and be that head quarterback that they haven't had since Peyton Manning was there. That can they have weapons. They have a good run backfield. They have good weapons on the wide receiver position with Sutton, Judy, and then KJ Hamler is like kind of like a quick, fast guy, and he looks awful. He seems to be lost out there. He's too worried about his secrets that he's telling with his dangerous sub, and
You feeling dangerous?
He's not feeling dangerous on the field, that's for sure. So
I mean, it's one thing if like the Broncos defense sucked and like Russell Wilson had to be like go God mode every offensive drive to keep him in the game. Their defense is amazing. Their defense is making it low scoring and making every game a winnable game. And Russell leading the offense just can't even get it done. They've lost a lot of close games. I'll give them that, but they lose it on the offensive side. In bad moments, they make bad decisions and bad plays. Like I think Russell has had so many things stopped at the goal line, whether it be fourth downs or interceptions. It's just he can't get it done right now. So I heard part of my take. Shout out to our another podcast out there, but they were talking about with Russell's injury, it almost may be smarter for him just to like make it sound worse, just to sit out the year. It can't get any worse than just sitting it out and have a full hard reset for next year. Like it's not the worst idea.
Except his backup will probably take his job, as he should.
Probably, which maybe for Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, it's a good thing.
I did hear part of my take saying that they like the way that Seattle runs their offense, that Geno Smith is better because they like to do a lot of crossing routes, and short little Russell is just he's
Can't
too
see.
short to see. He can't
Can't
see
see
over the
over the
line for the
lineman.
crossing routes.
Oh, Russell.
All right, moving on to the running back segment. Three guys in here. This is a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. I was
It is
looking over
tough.
these and I'm trying to like look ahead at what we have written down, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I have, I think, my answer, but I'm gonna let one of you guys take it over. Between Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Lenny Fournette, two of them are top 10 for points this year. One of them just had a monster game, so it's tough to pick it right now. I don't know. One of you guys take it away, and I'll come in with my points that I've been thinking about.
I'll jump in. Leonard Fournette is my fake gasm. I think he's very touchdown dependent. They don't seem like they've been moving the ball. His only saving grace has been how bad their offense has been and how banged up their receivers have been. That Tom has seemed to have been dumping off a lot of passes to him. But Kenneth Walker is coming into a primetime role in an offense that's moving in the right direction, and he's his number one competition in Penny is out, done for the year, as well as just I think the draft capital that they spent on Walker, they're obviously very high on him, and he looked great in his first kind of go at being a top dog. Brees Hall, he is on a rocket ship of performance. Kind of started out slow, and he's moving in the right direction, and the Jets have looked really good. So I think Leonard Fournette, I think Tom and their offense will start figuring it out, but I think that's going to be more through the air as they start to get their guys back and more health comes their way as far as their receivers.
Kirby?
Dennis, I'll let you take it. 'Cause
Okay.
I have no idea.
So, like I said, this is a tough one. I had to kind of dig into some other statistics that I'm looking at here. So I'm actually going Brees Hall with my fake gasm. I think any of these guys are fantastic. You play any of these guys, you're pretty happy about it. But for segment's sake, I'm going Brees Hall because he's had some good games, but he's playing some pretty weak defenses. I mean, Pittsburgh, Miami, Green Bay, none of these are very great defenses, and he has New England twice and he has Buffalo twice coming up. So I think that the two combinations of New England and Buffalo are going to slow him down a little bit. Like I said, I had to dig deep, but we just saw New England shut out the highest scoring offense in the league so far, and the Lions did absolutely nothing. Buffalo has been just destroying people on the defensive side with their weapons. So I'm going to go Brees Hall. Leonard Fournette, I think he's just gets so much use. I mean, the guy gets like 20 carries a game. He's going to always have that steady floor. Plus, I think Tom's going to figure it out. He's going to kind of get over Giselle. They're going to get it figured out. So even if he's not getting those passes, I think they're going to hopefully have more red zone opportunities where he's just going to take the 1 yard carry in for the touchdown. It was basically between Lenny Fournette and Brees Hall between me. I even though Kenneth Walker's only had one game, I just think that I'm drawing a blank on the name. The Seahawks have been looking for a running back for a long time. I mean, they were feeding the ball to Penny, feeding him. And Kenneth Walker came in this season. People were talking before the season even started, wait on Kenneth Walker, pick him up late round and hold on to him. He's going to usurp Penny. So this is just an easy path for him to do that. So based on schedule alone, and it'll probably come back to bite me. I know I have Leonard Fournette in 2 leagues, so I'm a little slighted that way, where I kind of don't want to stay my guys when I not do good, but I'm gonna say schedule is going to slow down production for Brees Hall, and he'll be my fake-asm. Kirby, tiebreaker.
Yeah,
Baby.
I mean,
He's gonna come in
it's
with it right
tough.
down the middle.
Well, it's tough. I mean, you look at Leonard Fournette's. I know Nick touched upon it, but you look at Leonard Fournette's performance. He's both producing overall, I'd say on average, and the running and the receiving game. None of the other two guys have the receiving numbers that Fournette does. So like it's hard to say that when he's been used in both both sides of the ball. Hall, I'm going Kenneth Walker.
I knew you were gonna go Kenneth Walker.
Just for that reason, where he hasn't been used in the passing game, and both Brees Hall and Fournette have. It just makes them more of a dual threat. They obviously, Hall, like Nick said, Hall's been coming off a heater since he's been given the hardcore starting role. Fournette's been having a great season, and Kenneth Walker, yeah, he's a threat in the ground and looking pretty good, but he hasn't had over. While he started, he hasn't had over 2 receptions. So that's my answer.
All
He's
right,
only
you heard it
started
there.
one. He's only started one game. You have a sample size of 1.
Oh no! Well, he came in the second game ago. He had 8 rushes for 88 yards, 0
Yes,
receptions.
That's
that-
11 yards
those-
to carry.
No, I know that. And the rushing is good, but
that's coming into a game in which he didn't start. Like Penny went down and they played him.
well, I mean, we'll
He-
see
he
how it
had
goes. I mean, we have a terrible sample size overall of Kenneth Walker, so like that's obviously the downfall of my choice. But Brees
And-
Hall and Fournette have been massively used in the passing game, so I guess that's my deciding factor. I think it is very difficult.
Yeah.
I think they're all good.
All right, we'll let it lie at that. Anyone out there trying to get a definitive answer on those guys, you don't have one. You can play them all pretty much as have the. They're all good. That's how it's gonna lie.
Kenneth Walker 3 catches. That's what they call him.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, the 3 catches. We're going to wide receivers. I'm going to let Kirby take over on this one. Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Deebo Samuel. We'll kind of speed it up a little bit. I don't know where the time went, but we're approaching that 50-minute mark, so we're going to try and speed this up a little bit. Who's the fake-gasm with those 3?
Yeah, it's
It's another tough one.
It is another tough one. I don't know exactly who I want to go. I feel like Chris Godwin is my answer just due to his kind of injury-ness, but at the same time, him and Amari Cooper both they're pretty much the only receiving targets they have that are like the reliable ones on their team. So just for time's sake here, I'm going to go Chris Godwin just because I don't know if he is 100% healthy or can last.
Nick?
I'm Chris Godwin too. I don't think Deebo is even in the same sentence as these 3 guys or these other two guys. Amari Cooper seems to be their only real option outside sometimes Njoku. So I just think Amari Cooper seems to have a better rapport there, and Chris Godwin injuries and Mike Evans is the guy there. So I think that's for that reason it's Chris Godwin.
I'm
Yeah, I
going.
mean they haven't. Sorry, just to say one thing, they haven't used Debo in the rushing game as much, so like that's kind of why, and his performance is kind of on par for some of them, but he's obviously way more consistent overall. But that's kind of why he was a part of this, just because he's had a definitely a regression from last year.
Yeah, I mean they have a quarterback who wasn't given a playbook in the beginning of the season because they figured he was going to be gone. They lost their kind of future of the organization quarterback. That was a completely different scheme type quarterback very, very early on. So I think that's a little bit of the growing pains to kind of get up to speed. But I think overall, I think his talent is and ceiling is way, way higher than the other guys. That's
I would agree.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it on the head for actual fantasy opinions. But I'm gonna just switch up a little bit and go Amari Cooper. I'm gonna say that they are going to get served a dish, well deserved, for picking up Deshaun Jerkoff Watson. I think that once he comes back, the whole team's going to implode. Just kind of a little bit of a karma thing. So this take has nothing to do with production because, I mean, Cooper had 12 targets. Obviously, he's the guy. 12 targets, 4 receptions. That's what you want to see, and he's been getting this kind of stuff the entire time. I'd probably agree and say Chris Godwin is the guy. Once again, I think a lot of these guys have pretty solid floors, but I'm going to go Amari Cooper and just say that the Browns are going to get what they had coming to them. They traded away their guy. They picked up a guy that has a lot of issues going on with him. A lot of people are saying, why is the NFL even allowing this guy to play? I mean, they're probably about to suspend my boy over on the Raiders, Devontae Adams, for pushing a guy, but they classic NFL. They let people come back that punch their wives in the face. They let guys come back that are sexually assaulting sex workers. So I'm gonna go Amari Cooper. Yeah, just gonna change it up a little bit.
it's a little live update. Rashid Shaheed just had start off the game with a 53-yard touchdown reception for the Saints.
Wow.
From
And
Andy
then
Dalton.
followed up by a nice 31-yard reception to Rondell Moore of the Cardinals.
That's exactly what I did
They're-
want to hear.
It's just, I mean, Dixie, I hate to, you've been the subject of a couple bad beats, but he did bet the under, and it looks like both teams are moving the ball right now. So it could be another where you're drunk with that bet.
And I'm not gonna lie, these Cardinals uniforms are sexy.
They are.
Yeah, go watch that game after you listen to this. So the game will be over by the time you hear it anyway. So.
Or you can put the Thursday Night Football on mute and just listen to the pod.
No, exactly.
Also, speaking of the Cardinals, we have our Bad Boys of the Week segment. Robbie Anderson. Robbie Putnam Anderson. The guy is obviously frustrated with his team, with his coach, with his quarterback situation, with his team situation. Gets in multiple altercations with his wide receiver coach on the sideline and gets thrown out of the game by his own teammate, by his own coach. Interim coach who replaced Matt Rule, and guy throws him out. And a day later, he's now on the Arizona Cardinals, and they're saying we should see him for 10 to 15 snaps out here. So we'll see how that goes for Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well played, Robbie. Well played.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that DJ Moore does the Antonio Brown next week and just throws his pads off, goes shirtless, and runs off the field, giving everyone the peace sign.
Oh my God. Oh, D Hop just got his first catch. It looks like. Welcome back.
Yeah, he's back, baby. He's back.
He's back, baby. 1 for 10. He's back. Liv's gonna smoke me. 7-0. Stay tuned next week for one of us is getting pied in the face on the pod. So if you guys are staying tuned, we will have video of that. The loser's getting pied in the face. So we'll have a little video for that. So stay tuned next week. We're gonna finish this off with some injury reports. So, stay vigilant on some of these guys. One of them doesn't matter because their game already started, so you're already late on the board on that one. But Carson Wentz, fractured finger. Kenny Pickett, concussion. Russell Wilson, hammy. You're not starting him anyway, so who cares? J.K. Dobbins aggravated that ACL again. Marquise Brown, fractured foot, not playing for a couple of weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, I think I saw. And Jalen Waddle, shoulder subluxation. They say he's likely to play, but keep an eye on those guys. Yeah, so I'm good on my end. Any last minute things you guys wanted to say, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, Dixie. It was kind of a meme trade just based on the Fantasy Pros trade analyzer, but AJ Dillon for Hollywood Browns not looking too bad right now with the guy out with a fractured foot. At least he could have had some. At least he could have had some points to replace Cam Akers.
Did you trade him that?
It was just a meme kind of thing because Fantasy Pros has like a trade analyzer, and
I've seen it.
they said it was like super even. I was like, how is that really even? So I wanted to see what he thought, and he obviously agreed.
He agreed? Oh, he agreed it wasn't even.
No, he agreed that it wasn't even. Yeah.
Any last minute things, Nick?
Nope, I'm currently looking to move a running back for a wide receiver. If anyone's out there and wants one, I'm in negotiations with Mrs. Dixie. Currently on the eve of, or on her anniversary, she's still slinging it in the boardroom. So see if we can get a trade done there. But if anyone else is looking, I got a stable.
All right, so for week 6 in the books, this is Kirby, Dennis, and Steve, and Nick. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Good luck.
Peace out.
Yeah.